In 1985, a bullet-scarred stranger rode out of the mist to save a dying town. But in the 40 years since, a real-life Pale Rider has been picking off this cast one by one. While you were busy rewatching the classic, the actors you loved were fighting battles far more brutal than any Hollywood shootout. From a rising star found dead in a lonely apartment at just 40 years old, to a leading lady whose life was a series of tragic sacrifices until her organs simply gave out. This isn't just a "where are they now" update. This is a countdown. As of 2026, the silence from the Carbon Canyon set is deafening, leaving only one man standing to face the mist. Is it a miracle, or is Clint Eastwood the only one who truly escaped the Pale Rider's shadow? If you think you know how this story ends, you aren't looking at the graves. Number 1. Carrie Snodgress as Sarah Wheeler. While she is often remembered for her intense dramatic roles, Carrie Snodgress delivered one of the most grounded performances of the 1980s as Sarah Wheeler in the classic Western Pale Rider. Appearing alongside Clint Eastwood in 1985, Carrie was the film's moral compass, playing a resilient mother trying to protect her family and her land from a greedy mining tycoon. When Pale Rider hit theaters, Carrie was 39 years old and already a veteran of the new Hollywood era. Years earlier, she had taken the industry by storm with an Academy Award nomination and 2 Golden Globes for her breakout role in Diary of a Mad Housewife. She was a powerhouse who famously walked away from stardom at the height of her fame to live a quiet life on a ranch with rock legend Neil Young, who wrote some of his most famous songs like "A Man Needs a Maid" about her. Tragically, Carrie Snodgress passed away in 2004 at the age of 57. But here in 2026, she is remembered as a rare talent who valued authenticity over fame. Number 2. Michael Moriarty as Hull Barrett. We have the man who provided the film's emotional anchor, Michael Moriarty, as the hardworking, idealistic gold miner Hull Barrett. Appearing as the partner to Carrie Snodgress's Sarah Wheeler, Michael was the human soul of the story, representing the honest settlers fighting against a corrupt corporate empire. When Pale Rider was filmed, Michael was 43 years old and already a highly respected Emmy-winning actor. After achieving major success in the 1980s and early 1990s, particularly as Ben Stone on Law and Order, actor Michael Moriarty abruptly left the United States in 1994, citing a political exile to Canada, following a confrontation with then U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno regarding TV violence. He continued to act in smaller, often independent productions, focused on his musical career as a jazz pianist, and engaged in conservative political commentary while living in Vancouver, Canada. Now in 2026, at 84 years old, Michael Moriarty lives a quiet life in British Columbia. He remains a cult favorite for his roles in genre films and a legend for his early TV work. Number 3. Clint Eastwood as Preacher. In a film that revitalized the Western genre, Clint wasn't just the star, he was the director and the mythic shadow that protected the struggling miners of Carbon Canyon. When Pale Rider rode into theaters, Clint was 55 years old and at the absolute peak of his man-with-no-name persona. While earlier in his career, he played the cynical drifter as the preacher. He added a layer of divine mystery. But Clint Eastwood's story is one of unparalleled evolution. While the world saw a cowboy, Clint was busy becoming one of the most respected directors in cinema history. Just a few years after Pale Rider, he would win the Academy Award for Unforgiven, effectively deconstructing the very Western myths he helped create. He proved that he wasn't just a movie star. He was a visionary storyteller who could transition from the saddle to the director's chair with effortless grace. Eastwood met Maggie Johnson, a secretary and later a model, on a blind date in 1953. They married 6 months later. The marriage was marked by several of Eastwood's outside relationships, and while they separated in the early 1970s, they did not officially divorce until 1984. They have 2 children together, Kiel and Allison. Eastwood married Dina Ruiz, a news anchor, in 1996, after meeting her during an interview 3 years prior. They remained married for 17 years before Ruiz filed for divorce in 2013, which was finalized in late 2014. They have 1 daughter together, Morgan. Now, in 2026, at 95 years old, Clint Eastwood is still actively defying the word retirement. While many assumed his 2024 film Juror Number 2 would be his swan song, especially given its limited theatrical release and high critical praise, he has recently signaled that he isn't finished yet. Number 4. Richard Kiel as Club. We have the towering presence of Richard Kiel as the formidable blacksmith and enforcer, Club, appearing as the muscle for the villainous Coila Hood. Richard was the film's unforgettable giant, providing the physical obstacle that only the preacher could truly challenge. When Pale Rider was released, Richard was 45 years old, but Richard Kiel's story is one of incredible perseverance. His unique height was the result of acromegaly, a condition that caused him significant physical pain throughout his life. Despite these challenges, he never let it dampen his spirit. He was known in Hollywood as a gentle giant, a deeply kind and religious man who authored several books, including his autobiography, Making It Big. He proved that he was far more than just a monster for hire. He was a talented actor with a sharp mind and a heart of gold. On the personal side, Richard was a devoted family man. He was married to his wife, Diane Rogers, for 40 years, and they had 4 children together. He often spoke about how his family was his greatest achievement, far outweighing his cinematic fame. Sadly, Richard Kiel passed away in 2014 at the age of 74. Number 5. Richard Dysart as Coy LaHood. We have the man you love to hate, Richard Dysart as the ruthless mining tycoon, Coy LaHood. Serving as the film's primary antagonist, Richard was the cold, calculating force of corporate greed that threatened to tear Carbon Canyon apart. When Pale Rider was released in 1985, Richard was 56 years old. While Clint Eastwood played the silent savior, Dysart had the task of playing a villain who was terrifying precisely because he was so civilized. He wasn't a brawling outlaw. He was a businessman who used money and hired guns to do his dirty work. His performance was a masterclass in sophisticated villainy, providing the perfect high-stakes conflict for the preacher to resolve. Sadly, Richard Dysart passed away in 2015 at the age of 86. Now in 2026, he is remembered as one of the most reliable character actors of his generation. Number 6. Sydney Penny as Megan Wheeler. As the daughter of Sarah Wheeler, Sydney was the emotional catalyst of the film, delivering a performance that balanced teenage vulnerability with a fierce, burgeoning strength. When Pale Rider premiered in 1985, Sydney was just 13 years old. Despite her young age, she held her own in scenes with Clint Eastwood, portraying Megan's infatuation and eventual heartbreak with a maturity that stunned critics. On the personal side, Sydney has lived a remarkably stable and private life by Hollywood standards. She has been married to her husband, Robert Powers, since 1995, and they have one son. Now in 2026, at 54 years old, Sydney Penny remains an active and beloved figure in the industry. Number 7. Chris Penn as Josh LaHood. We have the actor who brought a dangerous, unpredictable energy to the screen, Chris Penn, as the arrogant and entitled Josh LaHood. As the son of the villainous Coy LaHood, Chris was the film's volatile spark, playing a character who used his father's power as a shield for his own reckless behavior. When Pale Rider was released, Chris was just 19 years old. He was already making a name for himself as a member of a legendary acting dynasty. His older brother was the Oscar-winning Sean Penn. While Sean was known for his intense dramas, Chris carved out a unique space as a powerhouse character actor. On the personal side, Chris was known for his large-hearted personality and his close-knit relationships within the industry. He never married and had no children, dedicating much of his life to his craft and his family. Sadly, Chris Penn passed away in 2006 at the young age of 40. Now, in 2026, he is remembered as one of the most gifted and underrated actors of the 80s and 90s.